Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. I'm your host, Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at @AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I had on a guest in the past, and I liked him so much I had to bring him right on back. So today's guest is Jeff Mendelson, and he is creator-in-chief over at Effectivo.social, and he's also host at the One Big Tip podcast. Jeff, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
All right, so I'm excited and congrats. You got this new podcast out. I want to get into what we can expect as listeners, but before we do that, I do want to get into, I don't want to assume that the new listeners heard your first episode, so let's get into what you're doing over at Effectivo.social. First, tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure. So Effectivo.social is a social media and content marketing agency where we help out businesses create not only their content, but their marketing automation, website design, and social media creation. We don't just do like one of these activities in a vacuum. We put together packages for the maximum amount of impact that would be needed to use all of those activities in tandem in order to really be effective.
What interests you right now in automation and in digital in general? I'm just interested to hear your standpoint. Like what excites you right now?
The exciting part for me are the levels of automation that you can put into your inbound marketing. So this can be anywhere from programming chatbots without the need to learn a programming language, doing some low-level spying on when someone comes and visits your site, or scoring how many times they visited your site or on specific pages. The types of tools that you can also provide in return in terms of relevant content. If they're looking at a blog post and you want to show them something like another blog post that has a larger ROI or maybe more tailored to their the business that they're in, all of this is now doable with a few tools stacked together, and that will really make your website truly interactive and awesome and into a selling machine and not just a brochure that you would proverbially, pass out at a convention. It really becomes a machine for showing the right content individualized for your customer as they come into your realm, and then you can show them all of the content that they need and direct them towards closing the sale.
Man, I love that, and that's what excites me too about content right now, is that you can really target super effectively. And what used to take a long time, like you said, the chat bots and things like that, now it's just, I won't say it's simple, it's still difficult. You have to set it up, you have to still get it done, but you don't have to be a programmer anymore. Like it's not about development and all these other things that made it just insurmountable for the smaller business owners to really make that spend, even though they knew that it was something that they need down the line. So it excites me, and then it just, every time I see a new technology that won't be like enterprise forever. It'll come down to small business owners in time. So that excites me. I'm like, come on, somebody figure it out.
And that's exactly what we're seeing today, is that a lot of these things used to be in the realm of, you used to have to, contract a team in the Ukraine or get some kind of, large scale Marketo type software. Now, most of the stuff is available as a freemium model, if you know where to look. So there are a lot of things that you can do on a free budget and then on a small budget and then scale up from there. The possibilities are truly endless.
I love it. Well, Jeff, let's switch it up. I do want to get into this new podcast. So the One Big Tip podcast, what can listeners expect?
So the One Big Tip podcast is a short form podcast, usually between 10, maybe 20 minutes, where we talk with digital marketers, influencers, other business people, whether just starting out or wildly successful. And what I'm probing them for is their one big tip, their one tool, or their one skill that they mastered that allows them to very successful and that they're willing, and the advice that they're willing to pass on to others within this format. So I'm really excited to be a catalyst and sort of tease that out. It's not a lot of these conversations that we've had so far. You really need to read between the lines by what they're saying, but by asking the direct questions of what are you doing today, or what specific tool are you using to allow you to do this one great thing, I think is really poignant. It's really interesting to see how people are using these technologies or these ideas. Just it could be something as simple as execute now and pick up the pieces later, or it could be I'm using teamwork for project management. All of those for me are one big tips, and I really enjoy the conversations that you can have with people at different stages within their own personal development and within the development of their companies and the change that they want to make in the world. That to me is very exciting.
What's been one of your favorite moments so far from being on the podcast, whether it's a tip or whether it's just a great guest or a laugh you had, something? And the reason I ask you this question is because I'm a big proponent and advocate of podcasting. There's a lot of people listening right now that they're thinking, oh, I want to launch one, but should I or could I, and all these other things. So whenever I have a podcaster on here, I'm always like, all right, let's give them a little bit of bait on why they should do it so they can create some of these memorable experiences, because you do create such memorable experiences, in my opinion, with the guests alone. And that alone makes it worth doing and a lot of fun. So what's been one of your favorite takeaways so far?
My favorite takeaways, I have two. One is that I finally got out of my shell and actually did it.
Woohoo, congrats. I need some sound effects on this thing.
I know, right? No, I mean, in grade school, I was the kid that stuttered. And here I am, now I'm appearing on podcasts and doing group events. So that for me is a huge personal win.
It's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. The other part is you don't necessarily need to interview the Gary V's or the Adam Torreses of the world just to get started. You can really just do this yourself. If you're okay talking to yourself for 10, 15 minutes, that's great. But if you get a guest on, even the people that are, let's just say they're just starting out, or they're not as knowledgeable as you within a particular niche, they always have something interesting to say. So I'll give you one example. Mm-hmm. One of my guests is Daniela Rudolph, and she runs a membership program in like a counseling session called the Marriage Architect. And what she does is she personally gets into the head of a woman who's looking to get married, and then tries to find like men for them, and also the reverse, right? She goes both ways. But what it means is that she's got a lot of knowledge in in talking to these people and trying to figure out, okay, what is important to you? No, wait, is that really important to you, or is that just a nice to have? Right. So in terms of just the way she digs in and prioritizes romance, right, which is pretty big, I draw direct parallels from that kind of thinking into the type of work that I do. So I try to find the value even with people that aren't necessarily in business or looking to do this to make a huge profit or retire from it. If you're just doing great work, great fulfilling work for people, that's also amazing. That's one of my guiding principles, for example. I try to do work that positively affects the lives of other people as well in my own personal ways. And when I come across people that do that as well in their ways, it's totally an electrical charge that really keeps me going.
Man, I love it. I love how you describe it as an electrical charge that keeps you going. To me, I'm like, man, it's a constant like adrenaline rush of meeting new people, and you get to hear what they're doing, and you get to exchange ideas, and you have that interaction. And I guess on the metaphysical level, you create something. You create an audio that goes out into the universe and can help others, and they can listen, and you see the downloads happen, and you're like, wow, people are listening to this. It's such a trip to me still. I mean, I'm a lot of episodes in. I think we're going to be approaching the 2,000 mark pretty soon, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. Wow. I still remember the first ones, and it's like, not about it's really about creating that experience with somebody else and sharing it with everyone. And the feedback you'll get over time is just amazing. And it's not feedback for I talk to people about this all the time. Like, it's not about your ego. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's about helping people, and it becomes real once people start giving you more and more feedback about how something helped them in their business, or how a simple conversation like this. Like, Jeff, I guarantee you, from this conversation you had with me today, we will launch podcasts. There's people listening to this right now that will launch podcasts. I guarantee you. I get emails all the time from people. I've had guests that have been on the show that are like, "Oh my gosh, you were the first podcast I ever did, Adam, and now I launched my own." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, tell me more." And so it's all good, and that's what we're trying to do: build the community, build the exchange of knowledge for the benefit of others. That's the whole goal.
Exactly. You know what it is that this is the ultimate form of paying it forward. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's easy to do. It's not expensive, right? I mean, you can do this with your cell phone, and that's it. You don't need to go out and buy all the fancy gear. And I think the
trucker mic, $100 trucker mic, and I don't want to use them more expensive. I have more expensive microphones behind me that I won't use.
Exactly. But you know what the interesting thing is? Done is better than perfect, and everyone starts with 0 followers. So
my first 300 episodes, Jeff, were on my first 300 episodes were on my Apple regular headphones, not even AirPods, just the regular ones. First 300 episodes. Yeah. There you go. For anybody out there making excuses right now, there you go. First 300 episodes, headphones on my iPhone with the regular little, not even AirPods. There you go.
Exactly.
So, Jeff, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on your podcast that just came out, and also on Effectivo.social, what's the best way for them to reach out and to get that info?
Sure. So first of all, to get a better idea of what I'm about, go to jeffmendelson.com. That's MENDELSON.com, and there's a link on there for the podcast, so you can listen to the episodes that are available. We're launching new episodes every Tuesday. For the social media digital marketing agency, that is Effectivo.social. So it's EFFECTIVO.social. And there we have prescribed packages, a menu of services for building out your social media and your paid advertising and just about anything else you need in order to get your business off the ground.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Jeff, really appreciate you coming back on the show for this reunion 2020 episode, and congrats again on launching your podcast. Love to hear it. What an awesome success story. Love to hear that you're paying it forward, as you said, and building those karma points. That's what I say. I like them both. And to the audience, as always, thanks for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you had a lot of fun listening. We sure did have fun making this for you. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, then let's take the conversation there. I mean, like the video, of course, and leave us some comments in the comment section. Love to know what your one big tip is and what you're doing that's working for you. And, Jeff, thanks again for coming on the show.